Now we'll show you how to plug in and how to use the galvanic function of the machine. You have 3 accessories for the galvanic function. These are the 3 accessories which I'm holding here. This one, the rod-shaped electrode, is the one that the client needs to hold on to in their hand during the treatment. You need to cover this with a damp sponge or a chucks cloth or something similar so that the client's not holding directly onto the metal. We'll plug this connection in first, and that has to go in underneath the accessory tray. You can see that this one has a black lead attached, and this needs to go in to the black connection underneath the accessory tray marked galvanic. Let's plug that in now. This electrode always has to be plugged in for use of the galvanic, as the client holds onto this and it completes the electrical circuit in the body. Once you've plugged this in, we'll put it in the accessory tray just to hold on to for the moment. These 2 electrodes are referred to as the active electrode, and one or the other of these is the one that you will choose to place onto the client's skin in order to infuse your treatment serum. Please note that you can only have one or the other of these plugged in at any given time, as you only have one other connection socket for the galvanic underneath the tray. So you need to decide if you would like to use the large roller attachment, which is obviously for the larger areas of the face, or if you would like to use the accessory with the 2 small prongs. This obviously concentrates the galvanic energy in a smaller area and may be useful if you only want to treat a small area such as the side of the nose or around the chin. Select whichever one you would like to use, and you will note that this has a grey plug. This needs to be plugged in to the red galvanic connection underneath the accessory tray. Let's plug that in now. We'll plug this into the front. This one, which we are not using at this point in time, can be stored in the front of the tray as well. If you would like to swap the electrodes, simply replace the grey cable that we've just plugged in with the other as required. Now we'll show you how to use the control panel for the galvanic. Now that we've set up the galvanic attachments, we'll show you how to actually work the galvanic function from the control panel. Before we do that, however, I'll just state that before you turn the galvanic function on, you must have your client prepared. Having your client prepared means that the face should be cleansed, all metal should be removed from your client. Make sure also that you do not touch them during the treatment. Do not touch your fingers to their face, for example. This can actually give them a little bit of a shock. You should have the rod-shaped electrode wrapped in a damp sponge or a damp chucks cloth. This helps to complete the electrical circuit and make sure that the current can run adequately. So simply wrap the sponge or the chucks cloth around the electrode and then give this to your client, and they will hold that in their hand during the treatment. The other electrode should be placed in contact with the client's face before you turn the galvanic function on. Please ensure that you have some serum or similar on the skin before you begin. Never use the galvanic on a dry skin. This can cause a galvanic burn. Contact the skin with the roller, and then with your other hand, come and operate the control panel as we're about to show you now. First of all, make sure that the machine is turned on. Add the switch on the side. Make sure that the CPU switch is in the downwards or on position. Make sure that the power is turned on the lower left-hand corner of the machine. Select the galvanic function by pressing the galvanic button. You will notice that the galvanic always comes on the negative pole first, and this is shown using the green indicator light. Initially, the galvanic will come on at the lowest treatment setting, which is level 1. Before you start, you should really select the time. Simply press the button here and it will bring up 15 minutes of time initially to begin with. That's too long to use the galvanic. The recommended period of time is up to 8 minutes only. Generally, we recommend that you use anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes of the negative pole on the skin, and then for the remainder of the time, to make up to 8 minutes, you can use the positive pole to rebalance the skin at the end. So we'll start off by selecting 5 minutes. So I've selected 5 minutes on the timer panel. Now I'll press this button again, and the intensity will go to level 1. Use the up arrow button to adjust the intensity according to your client's comfort level. The maximum intensity is level 8. At level 8, you will be using 1.8 milliamps of current on the skin, which is perfectly safe and well within the recommended allowance of up to 2 milliamps on the skin. Please don't feel that you can't operate it at the maximum level. Don't feel that you should only operate it halfway. Definitely feel safe to operate it at level 8 if you would like, as it's well within the recommendations for use. However, do check with your client for comfort. They may feel a little bit of a tingling sensation on the skin, and you can adjust the intensity according to their comfort level. Make sure to keep the electrode moving as you go. You will notice from time to time, as the minutes tick by on the timer panel, just here, did you see how it briefly flashed back to 3 minutes? That was showing us that out of the 5 minutes we selected, we had only 3 minutes left to go now. Each minute that ticks away, you will notice that the numbers will change on the panel. It will briefly show you how many minutes you have remaining, and then it will go back to the intensity. If you want to make any other adjustments, for example, to adjust the intensity back down, use the down arrow button and continue on. Keep the electrode moving for the whole time. Once you have used up all of the minutes that you have selected, the machine will make a beeping noise and the function will turn off automatically. If you decide that you'd like to finish beforehand, that's okay as well. You can continue on regardless of the timer. Please note that when you would like to use the positive pole, you must turn the intensity back down to level 1. Turn the intensity back down to level 1 before you change the polarity. Otherwise, it can give the client a little bit of a shock sensation. Please don't ever turn the polarity over to the opposite while the machine is set at a higher level. Always remember to take it back down to level 1. To change to the positive pole, simply press the small square button on the right-hand side, and you will notice that the light will now indicate red. The red is for the positive pole, and it does actually show you R, positive, red positive, or G, negative, green negative. So whichever colour indicator light is showing here will actually indicate whether you are using the negative or the positive pole. If you would like to use the negative pole and then the positive pole straight away, you may do as we've shown you here. Turn the intensity back down to 1, change the pole and continue on. If you would like to complete the negative pole, turn the system off, and then 15 minutes later use the positive. Simply turn the galvanic function on as we showed you and select the positive pole when you begin. When it's finished, it will automatically turn off. Otherwise, you can turn the function off yourself by simply pressing the galvanic button. For further treatment information and for cleaning, please refer to the manual. However, one thing I would like to point out to you before we finish the section on the galvanic is to please ensure that the galvanic connections are screwed in very, very firmly every single time before you operate them. With periods of use and sometimes with disattaching in order to clean, this can come unscrewed a little bit at the bottom, and if that does so, it can cause the current to jump, and this could also give your client a little bit of a zap during the treatment. Please ensure that before you begin every treatment, check the connection and make sure that the connection is very, very secure, and you will need to do this on each of the electrodes. Each one has a similar attachment at the bottom. Before use, just make sure that it's nice and tight before you begin. Please see the manual for any additional notes.